Bakusak.
You are now tuned into the truth frequency.
Your protection from deception. This is Truth Frequency Radio.
Live from Melbourne, Australia, and all around the world, wherever you may be, I am your host, Nikki Colombo, and welcome to the Nikki Colombo Show. Tonight we have Santos Bonacci coming on, but we seem to be having some technical problems, guys. So I'm just going to keep calling him to see if we can get him on live for tonight's show. But in the meantime, I'm going to start talking about my ebook, Super Conscious, which has got some amazing tools and techniques for healing and awakening and all that kind of stuff. So here we go. There is a feeling emerging from all walks of life, and this feeling is growing exponentially stronger every day. It's a feeling that is more to life. Is there more to life? It's also a feeling that it's not, there's something quite not right, you know, not quite in alignment of who we really are. We are sharing an amazing time of consciousness expansion on our Mother Earth, which affects us at very deep cellular levels, and it's becoming exponentially more obvious that more and more of us are becoming aware that something incredibly profound is changing on our planet. These times have been described in the ancient secret texts of ancient wisdom, as well as in the many metaphysical and esoteric circles, as the Great Platonic Year, or the Ascension. Now, that's what we were going to talk to Santos tonight too, about the Great Platonic Year, because that ties into the Yugas, and it ties into the holy science. And the guy that actually discovered that was Sri Yitsuwa, and he was the teacher of Yogananda. And if you've read the book Autobiography of a Yogi, you will know that he was one of the guys that actually brought Hindu philosophy and sacred knowledge to the West. So many of you reading this ebook have been guided here, and you have been cosmically linked by sequence and timing, and the information you're about to discover is light encoded to activate and raise your vibrational frequency. So your DNA has strands that have been lying dormant, waiting for the next right time to become activated. And it's a stealth feature, one that hasn't activated yet. Well, in actual fact, it has actually started to activate right now in many people. This ancient knowledge is designed to trigger those activations into remembering who you really are and why you chose to come here during this ascension cycle. After reading this book, you will never be the same again, because your scope and awareness will broaden. And my sole purpose is to guide you through this process. So some of the contents on here is, and we're going to go through some of these today, because there's quite a lot of subjects here. So the first one is, what is ascension? You're not alone. Speaking about questions, getting ready for the major shift, sinking in with planetary alignment to the galactic core, true signs of illumination, the secret teachings of all ages. The power of the force of love is the key that unlocks every door in the universe. The medulla oblongata, that's a very powerful organ in the back of our heads where our spiritual energy comes in. Am I a starseed? Many of us have triangles on our fingers. Kundalini, the Merkaba and Kundalini by Drunvalo Melchizedek. Phasing, crop circles, how crop circles are made. How to initiate contact with your higher self. The unity breath meditation, that's a really good one. That's from Sri Yatsura as well. He says that nobody in India would ever try anything spiritual before trying a meditation which puts you in a really beautiful state of mind. Ascension symptoms, a lot of those are happening, in the last few years as well. Nothing artificial will pass through the shift. Strange anomalies and time travel is real and happening today, and the next level is our evolution. Terrestrials, they're the beautiful ones. ETs in ancient art, personal photos of ships and real ETs, the dark side of Cupid, bending my reality. How you can transcend into unity consciousness, terraforming, weather wars. Ultimately, ascension overrides everything. The pine cone represents the pineal gland and our real guardians. This may come as a shock to some people, but there are actually people living on the inside of our earth. The feline race, which I'm really big on. Is this what the Syrians look like? Yeah, that's a really interesting one that I'll go through. You have more than one body. The sphenoid bone, how to release past memory, crystallize thought patterns from the DNA. That's a fantastic technique, that one. The Hammurabic seal. Oh, Santos is on. Okay, cool. All right, now let's see if I can get him on, guys. Let me see. I'll just pull him down here and add him here and just pop him on the call and add to here. And see if we can get Santos on. Santos!
Hey.
Hey, sweetie, how you doing? Oh, we're getting a bit of echo.
Good. All well. We got stuck at the market. Car broke down.
Oh, darling. Oh, look, you know what? That shit happens, doesn't it?
It does.
All right. Well, listen, just before we get into it, sweetie, because I didn't think you were going to come on. So I'm just going to start with your bio. And for 30 years, Santos has been studying the ancient works, researching, compiling, and translating the text to produce an easy-to-understand compendium of astrotheology. This information has been brought together in a network of media platforms, including YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and the Universal Truth School website, where Santos's can you help me with that? Syncretism music and products are available. Living on the east coast of Australia, Santos regularly presents seminars and webinars and also has presented lectures and workshops in various countries all around the world. Syncretism shows how all the ancient legendary stories, myths, Bibles, fairy tales, etc., have all one simple common origin. And in all of these wonderful ancient classics, the personae are always the same under different names. So Santos Bonacci, isn't it great to talk to an Aussie? How are you going, sweetheart? What's been happening? Do you want to tell us, how did you start with all this? How the bloody hell did you put all that stuff together? And did this come to you as a little kid, or did it come to you later in life? Or how did all this wonderful knowledge come to you, and how did it all grow and start for you?
Well, I might have been conditioned that way as a young boy because my parents were bringing me to the Jehovah's Witnesses meetings to learn the Bible and study the Babylon Has Fallen book and the Revelation book and Paradise Lost, Paradise Regained book for little children. So I was always thinking about Moses and Jesus and what does all this mean, and I suppose I just stored that stuff in my heart and eventually the little tidbits of knowledge and information that I gathered along the way, when the time came, which was 2007 when I became vegetarian, then everything changed. There was a clear shift in my focus, and my intelligence just improved so much. The vegetarian lifestyle just absolutely resonated with my body, and the syncretism just poured in. And so I made connections, and the heavens provided me with all the right content and research and books. They just fell in my lap. As Pico della Mirandola 500 years ago in the Renaissance said, divine providence has caused certain books to fall into my lap. And he was one of the greatest syncretists of the Renaissance times, great philosopher. And I just allowed my mind and heart to be open to it. And that's how you get syncretism.
That's absolutely wonderful. So, so when when you finally got out, did you get out of the church, and like did that obviously cause problems with your parents and stuff like that?
No, because my family, I got them out of the Jehovah's Witnesses with all my might.
Right.
And strength. I got half of my family onto vegetarianism, half of them are onto syncretism. My brother's my best, supporter. My mother, she's vegetarian. Imagine that, Italian, Calabrian, with all the relatives coming round with their sausages, and mum says, "Oh, I'm vegetarian." She's been that for six years. And my son as well is now a vegetarian, syncretist, a very intelligent musician. He's got starting his own label. And so, no, I protected my family first. I got them out of that shit. Sorry,
You can swear on here, sweetheart. There's no censorship on this. You can say whatever you like.
Great. I got them out of that mind control shit as soon as I could with my intelligence and my knowledge. And
you know what, Santos? As soon as you said that, the media, and when you started reading out the titles, I just went fear, 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 fear. You know what I mean? Like that's what I kept getting from when you were talking about it all. I just went, all of it is all apocalyptic, and that word has been, distorted, and it's like, created to create fear in us, and all this, everything's fear, scared of the big God coming down with the big white foot to crush us, and you know what I mean? It's like, it's brilliant that you've done that. There are a lot of people out there that haven't actually done that, and they don't have the support behind them when they're going through a full-on, say a spiritual awakening like I did. So you are very lucky and blessed that has happened to you, and that you made a conscious effort to pull them out of that, what I call mind control.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I have the greatest treasure in the universe, the greatest. I don't want property, fame, glory, distinction. I don't want anything from this world except for what I know right now, and what I will continue to add to that knowledge base, which will all be true, all correct, and all leading me to everlasting glory. That's all I want, everlasting glory, not in the sight of other human beings, because I don't like people. So I don't want to be the king of anyone. I don't want to be glorious and adored by any human beings at all. I look to my Creator, the archangels, and all of the higher creatures, and serve them. And in the process, I serve humanity. But I don't want any pats on the back from human beings. No, please go away.
Yeah, I do. That sounded like you'd actually transcended your your ego conscious, because when you absolutely idolize someone, you're actually giving your power away, and it even says that in the Emerald Tops. I think it's in the Emerald Tablets, or it's in the Bible somewhere. The first one is don't give your power away, and the second one is don't kill anybody. So that really does say something about idolization, doesn't it? We give our power away to someone, projecting that power. In actual fact, the power is inside us. I think we need to go back more inside, don't we? When we have everything inside us, don't we, Santos?
Yep.
Some more than others. And some people can consciously create that synchronistic-ism where, like for me, I wanted to read the Bhagavad Gita, and bang, it fell in my hands, at that very time, I was going through a full-on spiritual awakening, and I was reading all these books, and I was going through a bit of targeting as well. And I'll tell you something that was really paranormal. I've had a few paranormal incidences in my life, but I was looking at myself in the mirror. I was looking for my aura, and this strange morphogenic field came over the top of it, and it was Sri Yatsawa's face. And I'm like, who is this dude, And I'm like, who is this guy? And it just so happens I happened to glance down at my book called Living in the Heart by Giordano Melchizedek, and I flipped the page over, and there was his face. And that's how I was introduced to Sri Yatsawa. Is that how you say it, Santos? Yatsawa? Is that the right pronunciation? Am I saying that right?
You'll have to repeat all that. That just broke up.
Oh, that'll be right. Okay. I just want to explain to you a little bit something with paranormal experience for me, but how I was introduced to Sri Yatsuwa. Is that how you say his name, Sri Yatsuwa, from the Holy Science?
Are you talking about the guy who wrote the Holy Science, Sri Yukteswar?
That's him, yeah. Yeah, him, Sri Yukteswar. I know that it's an Indian name. But what happened was how I came across him is that, I was going through like this full-on spiritual awakening, and I could, there was a bit of targeting going on at that time. But, I was looking at myself in the mirror for my aura to see if I could see my aura pop out, and I saw this morphogenic field go across my face in the face of Sri Yatsuwa in the mirror. It's quickly morphed over my face, and I went, wow, who's this guy? And I happened to glance down and look at the book by Drunvalo Melchizedek called Living in the Heart, and I just happened to open up a page, and there he was. His face was right there. And, I've taken some of his teachings, and after that, that's when the Bhagavad Gita kind of fell into my place of reading that as well. So that's how, and also the other book, autobiography of a yogi, and then I worked out that Sri Yatsuwa was Yogananda's teacher, and so I got into the holy science and started getting into that and all the amazing connections that he made there, the yugas that he discovered, and all the golden era and all. I mean, like, how is that? Are those teachings been, like for thousands of years? Have those teachings always been here, or have they just been rediscovered, or is there a physics behind that now that scientists are just trying to work out, or what's going on there with that line of information? How did you discover and tap into that, and what was the pinnacle information that you got out of that?
Well, it's always been there. It's called the Perennial Philosophy. Perennial because it's just always there. It's universal. It doesn't go away. You don't write it. You don't record it. You don't store it. It's in the DNA of the universe. It is the Prisca Theologia. It is Syncretism. It is the Perennial Philosophy. And it is always there. When we get stupid in the Kali Yuga and the Iron Age, and we start eating animal bums and ejaculating to have sex, which is absolutely murderous to your own organism, well, then you forget these things because you become lustful, you become stupid, you become like an animal. And that's why the philosophers like Ovid and Pythagoras wrote about the Gentiles and the crowd and the throng and how godless they are and how stupid they are. Everything they do, what they eat, what they think, everything is for their own eternal damnation. And so what I'm teaching to people, whether they like it or not, because a lot of people get offended with me because I just say the truth, and because they are wallowing in misery and lust and all sorts of gluttonous behaviour and will never come to the light, they hate me for telling them that what they're doing will eventually end. They will punish them. There's no God sending you to hell. There's no external punishment. We punish ourselves. We suffer the consequences of all our actions. And I just tell people that the ancient philosophy, which is always there, see, people think it's mine. Oh, this is your opinion, Santos, no problem. Well, that's what you think. I'll continue eating my bum because my intuition tells me that pig bum is rotting corpse is going to just really be nice in my GI tract. I get absolutely entertained by all the clowns who were vegan for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and then they go back to bum eating because I feel better with bum in my body. Well, you do, don't you? That's because you're a bloodlust glutton, and you haven't read Bhagavad Gita, nor the Bible correctly, nor any of the scriptures, which tell you if you murder your brothers called animals who have no voice and are screaming when you're cutting their throat, and then you butcher them and you eat that rotting corpse, you will have eternal damnation, period. So for a few more years of health, because, I'm not very well on vegetables. I'm going to go back to murdering and my old bloodlust habits. And let's not worry about eternal life. But I want 5 years of nice, comfortable health now. So I'll go back to murdering and eating bum, and this is just so entertaining to me. I see clowns coming and going. And they all front up, oh, Santos, syncretism is so glorious. And they're doing shit about it. They're wallowing in the poo, and they're probably worse than the demons of hell, in my opinion. Because
you know what? I get I have a spiritual client consultation. I do give people all the tools and techniques and everything like that. And, that sometimes they just don't read it all and they come back to me with their same problems. I'm like, well, have you read that part? And I've given you the tools and techniques, but they kind of gloss over it. And see, I'm not a glosser overer. When I find something, I really get right into it and I research it. And where did this come from? The root of it, because I want to know that I'm not being bullshitted, because there's just so much bullshit out there. And those chemicals that you're talking about and the meat and everything like that and our diets and our air and our water and everything like that, just adding more and more and more to this dumbing down of the human race, which, it's a damn shame because, there's two different types of people. For me, there's people who are awake and there's 3D people. They've got no idea what's going on. And I see the programs being played out and I can see how the mind control is there, because they're just so saturated in that 3D world. And I feel very isolated from that world. I've really pulled myself back from that world and I feel it sticky and thick and controlling and, even if I go to the mall, I can feel everyone, consuming. I feel this consume. Everyone wants to eat and consume everything. And I was like, my daughter's like that too. And she's like, let's get out of here, Mum. Do you feel those feelings too, Santos, when you go into the 3D reality, and then you feel all those energies in there and you just go, yuck, get me out of here?
Yeah. Look, I just came back from the Yamundi market where my car broke down, and luckily I've got my friend Nate from Brisbane who was able to put the serpentine belt back on, and then I've got another friend, Nathaniel from Manchester, coming to visit. Both syncretists that want to hang out with me, and so I took him to the market, and we saw the crowd there, the crowd, the herd, and you see people eating hot dogs and sausages and all different sorts of bum with lots of flavour on it. And it's the land of the bum eaters, and you are what you eat. And so I see them as a whole bunch of bums. To me, people stink, graveyard breath. You don't want to go to the toilet after these flesh eaters because, whoa, oh my God. I feel sorry,
you can tell the difference, can't you?
Yeah, I feel sorry for their pile-infested asses, and they're pushing out a rotting corpse out of their backsides, and then they've got to collect all their piles and stick them back up their asses because they're forcing animal corpse out of their bums. And to me, they stink, they're ugly, and they're stupid and boring. People are just so boring. So you can imagine how frustrated I feel. I just want to be in a world with intelligent people like me, because I love intelligence more than anything else. Better than love, better than peace, better than tranquility. I don't want any of that if I can't have my intelligence. I don't want to be a stupid ass like, 99.999999999 people that I've got to look at.
Yeah, I get that feeling, and a lot of people say that to me too. You know what? I was just thinking about my mum, and she told me, she goes, why? Why the Americans lost the Vietnam War? Because all they did was eat burgers and play loud rock and roll music and shit everywhere, and the Vietnamese could find where they were because of the smell of their crap. And just when you were talking about bum eaters, that's the vision I got through my head, and I thought, oh my God, you leave a trail everywhere and it's like, hello, here we are, So, it really goes down to the human body is an amazing a technology, and we really need to take care of it despite the onslaught of mind control and, programs out there that prompt our ego mind into doing something that's not really healthy for us. And I think that's where people have to stop and take a bit of a breath and a big deep breath and go, you know what, is this healthy for me? Is this going to make me feel good? You know, like I can't eat bread anymore, Santos, because I've become gluten intolerant. And I found out it's not the gluten, it's that because we've been eating bread for thousands of years. It's the glyphosine, the pesticide that they're actually putting on the bread, and it's causing a lot of people to have digestion problems, which is affecting our gut, which is affecting our intuition. You know, and I mean, there's obviously some sort of sinister correlation there. What do you think, Santos? We've got a minute to break.
Oh, yeah, glyphosate. Glyphosate is killing people everywhere. It's the king of death, murder, and en masse. And people just love it. They spray their plants because they haven't got insects now. Oh, this is so good, isn't it, this Roundup? Yeah, round you up. It'll round you up and send you straight to hell in a handbasket, that stuff.
Yeah. That's why I think they called it Roundup. It's like round up the cattle and put them in one place, and we can poison them all, in the one spot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's up to everyone out there to take a conscious effort into, because there's just so much of that stuff. It's everywhere. It's in corn. It's in everything, guys. You're better off making your own and getting wholemeal stuff from the markets where, the produce just is growing without all that stuff. Okay, we're going to be back on the other side of the break with Santos Bonacci. And we're going to probably talk a little bit about the banning and Seneca and David Icke and what's happening with all the banning that's going on, guys. And we'll see you on the other side. So stick around.
No hate, no hype, no fear. We are TFR, your protection from deception.
And we're back from the break, and I'm your host, Nikki Colombo. Welcome to the Nikki Colombo Tour. We're talking tonight with the wonderful Santos Bonacci. Santos, did you hear about Max Segan's YouTube channel being taken down and David Icke's banning of his Renegade premiere movies all around the world? What do you think about that? Have you experienced some shadow banning and stuff on Facebook and some, stuff like that going down?
Yep, all the time. I have since I started in 2011. People have been telling me, Santos, you can't see your videos anywhere. They block them in my country. I go to like and it doesn't register. I go to subscribe and it unsubscribes me. I don't get notifications. It's all over the place. Nothing works. Nothing works anymore.
Yeah. It's like it's got a bot on your back, and it's like wherever you go, it's like they slam the door on you, don't they? So that's why we've got to find other ways, guys, and that's why we have this platform here with all these wonderful speakers pumping out this amazing information 24 hours a day on tfrlive.com. So I do think there's a silver lining in that, though, Santos, because most people are going to eventually will get sick of the bullshit on YouTube and all those, videos being taken out of context and everything like that. And eventually they will come to platforms like yours and mine and everywhere else where they'll actually get, this knowledge. So I think there's a silver lining in there, guys. What do you reckon, Santos?
Oh, yeah. Look, the glorious thing about all this is we get to win and we get to stand on their graves, as Bob Dylan says, I will stand on on your graves and with glee, you masters of war. They are
I love
destined
that.
everlasting damnation. All these politicians who are getting up there first, climbing the top of the corporate ladder because they've been promised by demons that they will have power in the other world and power now. All they're going to get is eternal perdition. That's all they get. And we will have everlasting glory, we will go on, as the scriptures say, to glory upon glory upon glory. And that's all I want. I don't want anything else other than that, what I've been promised from the scriptures, from the Creator.
Me too. I'm right there with you. What do you think about Australia at the moment? Because, we had David Icahn here a couple of weeks ago, and we were interfered with and all that kind of stuff. Eventually, we did get it broadcasted, but it was 1 week just before his banning, and it was just an absolute mess. He was going to come on the show again, the very next day, because I spoke to him on Skype, and it was just a mess how they just pulled it. 2 hours before the show and 4 hours before he was about to hop on a plane. And, I wrote to, the people that were, the politicians that were doing all the banning, and everyone pleaded and all that kind of stuff. And they just didn't get back to them. That was it. And I just thought to myself, my God, it reminds me of the movie Schindler's List, where the Nazis come in and they just totally take over and ban everything. It's like the book banning again. From the Nazi war. It seems like these guys at the top here, that are politicians that are running the show and making decisions for our planet and our Earth. For me, they're absolutely infested with demons, and they've sold their soul, ages ago, which is why they're so controlled over with blackmail. And I just don't understand. I used to say to myself, how can someone, destroy their own mother? How can someone destroy the planet? And, how come they're not thinking further down the line? Is this going to be good for my grandchildren and all that kind of stuff? But it seems like they're in another world. They're only there for 4 years, and they're voted out, and then they cut the head off of one snake and another one seems to pop up. I mean, what? Have you got any ideas, Santos, about any solutions about how this is going to play out? Are they all going to, dissolve and, nick off? Or, are they going to still be there? Or what do you think is going to happen? People all going to wake up and, what do you think is the plan for in the next, the future for humanity? Well, on one side, everybody waking up. On the other side, there's a lot of people still, being played out by these programs. Do you think it's going to come to a big humongous head and explode everywhere, or what do you think is going to happen?
Well, I just always go back to the scriptures because we wrote them. And it says there that do not pull the weeds out yet until the grain is fully mature. Then you will recognize the tares from the wheat, and the master will come into his wheat field and he will pull out the tares which have grown together till maturity, and then because tares the tare, I believe, looks very much like wheat. And what happens is, if inexperienced farmers go out to pull the weeds out of the wheat, they're actually pulling wheat out. So the Lord Jesus in the gospel says, do not pull them out yet, because the servants came and said, Master, we planted wheat last night, but the enemy came and sowed weeds in. And he said, let them grow together. And then when they mature, then we will recognize the tares and we'll pull them out and we will throw them into the everlasting fire, and then we will make bread with the wheat. So, let them go. They are showing their true colours. They are showing, you see all these degenerate Bolshevik lefties now, they want to murder kids after they've come out breathing from their mother's wombs. We want to abort those ones too, and we want all their fetuses to go into your chocolates and all your natural flavours in your ginger beer and everywhere now. There's baby fetus. Everything you touch, you are being stained with murdered, traumatized baby fetus, and people go around drinking their Coca-Cola and eating their McDonald's, and there's human flesh in there and baby parts, and their vaccinations have got baby parts. So let them grow, let them go. And the universe is so intelligent. The universe will wipe them like a dirty ass before you can say boo. And you'll look around, and the scripture says the evil one is gathering all his riches for the final day when he will be obliterated, and the righteous one will step in and enjoy all their riches. So the evil one is storing their treasures for who? For the righteous ones. That's us.
That's awesome. I love the way how you said, they'll wipe their ass.
You'll wipe them like a dirty ass because they stink like shit. They are as dumb as dog shit. That's 99.99% of all those ugly, boring, stupid people out there. And that's it. It's pretty much everyone.
Have you seen those photos online where the politicians are asleep in the actual, chambers and stuff like that? It's got, tax dollars at work. Have you seen that?
No.
They're all asleep. Well, the thing is, I'm a musician like you too, so I need to be stimulated too, and knowledge stimulates my brain the most out of everything. That's why I love it so much. But can you imagine being in those boring chambers talking about those boring subjects? It's like, there's not much being actually done. It's actually, it's like they're just going through the motions and taking the money and not giving a shit. To me, they're soulless. To me, they've lost their soul. They're absolutely soulless.
Oh, yeah.
They're artificial.
Totally detached from their source, their higher being. They are such animals, I can't tell you. I'm trying to be emphatic and use adjectives to conjure the way I see humanity, humans, not humanity. I do not lose my hope in humanity. Never. I'll never do that. Humanity is salvageable, but humans, give me an animal before a human to hang out with anytime, please.
Oh, yeah, you know what? I think a lot of people are like that. My dad was like that. He trusted animals more than he did people. And I think a lot of people are like that. That's why there's so many of us that love animals, because they love us unconditionally back. Absolutely unconditional. And that's what we need more on this earth, don't we? More unconditional love. I was very blessed to I had a Kundalini experience about 10, 12 years ago now, where I actually got a taste of that and a small glimpse of what unconditional love actually feels like. And it's nothing like this on this earth. It's not joy, and it's not, blissed out samadhi. It's kind of in between. There's no actual words to actually describe it except unconditional. And we need more of that, unconditional love. On the planet, we need more acceptance. We need more harmony. We need more cleanup. We need more consciousness. And I know a lot of people are tapping into this consciousness right now. I feel that the energies behind this consciousness move is helping us and the other, what I call in brackets 3D people, awaken up. I've got a friend of mine that actually calls 3D people Coke and fries because they're regular.
Yep. Normies. I call them the normies.
Oh, you call them the normies. That's a cool one. Okay, cool. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you got two Aussies talking here now. We're talking Aussie slang. So, you Americans, if you need to know what I'm talking about, just send me a message in the chat room so I can understand what us Aussies are talking about. So at least, that's really good that you said that you have, hope in humanity. So let's go down that road a bit. Like, how did you come to that? Despite all the shit that we're going through and and the things that are being played out, how do you see that hope for humanity?
Well, the hope of humanity is that it has been promised in Scripture that a portion of humanity will be saved, and it's archetypally depicted in a symbolic number of 144,000. Oh, when the saints go marching in. So that's all about the saints, and I want to be in that number. So why do you want to be in which number? Well, it's the 144,000, because 144,000 represents the total number of petals in your chakras. The bottom chakra has 4 petals. The sacral is 6. The solar plexus is 10. The heart chakra is 12. Throat chakra is 16, and your pineal gland is 96. All of those add up to 144. And then the top chakra is called the 1,000-leaf petal lotus.
Yeah.
So when you reach that 1,000 petals magnifies the 144 below, and the crown chakra is sitting on top of the head, where Aries, the ram or lamb of God, Hiram Abiff, or Hiram above, referring to Aries, the good shepherd, the one who tells your cerebrum, where to, how to walk, and it shepherds your feet, you see. And so that Lamb of God, it says in Revelation chapter 14, and look, and I saw the Lamb of God standing upon Mount Zion. Well, everybody has that. Everyone has Aries in their cerebrum, all right? And cerebrum comes from Sarah Abram.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
okay. You're tingling my brain right now. Keep going. This is great.
Yeah. And so the Lamb of God,
Sarah Abram,
Mount Zion is the spine. Mount Zion's the spinal column. 33 vertebrae. It's the Mount Meru inside your body, and the Lamb sits in the cranium, and it is pivoting on the atlas bone, which is the top 33rd bone of the vertebrae, and it is standing upon Mount Zion with the 144,000, because remember, 144,000 is the total number of the individual who has raised the chrism oil of the cerebrospinal fluids all the way back up to Aries, the Lamb of God, Hiram Abiff, and they have activated their pineal gland, crown chakra, dormant brain cells. All action has happened because they were very faithful and true to the alchemical process of raising the consciousness up to the Lamb of God, and then you will be one of the 144,000 who are standing on Mount Zion with the Lamb of God, singing a new song, which is the eternal song that when you get there and you have your Kundalini experience, or you take some psilocybin mushrooms and DMT and activate it artificially, doesn't matter. It's still the same thing. And then you are one of these initiated ones because you've done the hard and good work.
Wow, that sounds like me. But I had a spontaneous Kundalini at the age of 40. So for me, I get the feeling that I must have done some work in previous lives or simultaneous lifetimes to actually be gifted with that, because before that, Santos, I didn't know jack shit. You know what I mean? Like I had no idea about esoteric knowledge or any of this realm at all until I had this spontaneous Kundalini, and it rumbled right down the bottom of my feet, rumbled all throughout my body, and I saw that 1,000 lotus petal explode on the top of my head, and the very next day I could see and feel and look at things on a much broader and wider spectrum. And I'm thinking, what the bloody hell on with me, and it's not until I started to reach the reefs that I didn't even know what the name Kundalini was. And then I saw some of your videos, and you were talking about how it's an oil that's down the bottom of the spine that shoots. It's an amaretta oil or something like that. Is that right?
In general, the chrism is the gaseous oil in your nervous system, and chrism is in reference to Christ.
Yeah.
Okay. And charisma. If you want charisma, you see people that glow with charisma, they're energized for the truth. That's because they haven't been ejaculating their brains out, that sperm in a man. And also the fluids in a woman. When you go lustful sex, you're just dumping that stuff out of you. And you look at all the whores and all the lustful people that practice sex. They look so depleted of magnesium and potassium that's in those fluids, and they're killing themselves. Death comes from ejaculating, period. If you learn how to not ejaculate and have marvelous, powerful orgasms, as I do, I have the best sustained, better than any of these women who have multiple orgasms. I can just keep it there during sex, and you can ask my partner Violet that we practice this sex. No juices, no, we don't need the abortion industry or the contraception.
Pill and
We don't need any of that bullshit. We just have godly sex, divine sex. We have as many orgasms as we want, but we don't ejaculate because we like to keep our brains in our heads. So the Christ fluids, the chrism, they have to be lifted up back to Aries, the Lamb of God, standing on Mount Zion. That's why Jesus says to Nicodemus, in order to be born again, you have to do what Moses did in the wilderness. He lifted up the copper brazen serpent in the wilderness. Pay attention to all these symbolic words. And then you must lift up the Son of Man. Well, the Son of Man is the son of manna. And manna is the food that comes from heaven, which is your head, which is the chrism, which comes from the claustrum, and it goes all the way down to the sacrum where you have your sex. And you can choose to waste your oils like the 5 foolish virgins who, when the lamb came out, the bridegroom from his castle door to choose his beautiful virgin brides, only 5 wise virgins who had extra oil were taken into the castle and married by the Lamb of God. Whereas the 5 foolish virgins who squandered all their oils ejaculating left, right and centre, they didn't have any oil, so they get to miss out on marrying the Lamb. And that is, of course, that marriage is the alchemical marriage.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah, because when you're having sex with your partner and you go through the chakras by abstaining from the ejaculation, and you suck in and implode the orgasm and you drive it up your chimney, your spinal column, all the way up into your head, that's where you have your good orgasms and your blissful sex, which most swine eaters and ejaculators will never, ever know till the day they die. And they think they're having sex, like boring, a 3-second orgasm. I mean, and all that tiredness. Then they've got to sleep for 4 months to recover from it, and depression and the shame and the guilt. And they just had a 3-second
from watching all that porn.
Yeah, and masturbating over these ugly whores. Here I've got the most beautiful girl in the universe, a god. And I'm just having orgasms with her all day long. And the sex gets better as the evening gets older and older and older. And my poor virgin bride, Violet, she's got to just say, stop. That's it. I've had enough. So, the only way to satisfy a woman is to be continent and not incontinent like Cullen Smith, the degenerate ejaculator, who teaches to spread your seed rather than save your seed. So, the Pied Piper the damned Pied Piper is leading all the damned fools down the cliff with him, into everlasting damnation.
And so, Santos, have you got on your website, have you got some information? I know people are going to be asking, how do you do this technique where you're not spreading your seed all over the place and wasting all your energy? Have you got something that people can go straight to and have a look at that?
Yep, absolutely. 3 things you need to know. Learn how to do some nice deep breathing, because your breath controls all your organs. It slows your heart down, it slows your lungs down, it calms your nerves, it calms your mind, and it can help you sexually as well. Of course, your breath is who you are. Learn about your breath. You don't have to go and do exercises and learn yoga and everything. Just pay attention to your breath when you're having sex, because if you don't, you will never get up to the head, and you will never be able to enter unity consciousness with your partner, where you're both the one same being having an eternal blissful orgasm. You'll never get there. You'll never experience it. Okay? So, number 2, when you're standing out front of a busy toilet and you have to defecate and urinate, what do? You squeeze your muscles down below? Okay. Well, those are the same muscles that you squeeze so that you don't become an incontinent, because no one likes an incontinent who poos his pants and wheezes his pants, do they? It stinks. And the same with incontinent imbeciles who ejaculate everywhere. Thirdly, if you're having trouble with those muscles, because really in the West here we've gone so lazy, and young boys and women have been taught only the wrong sex, harmful sex. If you find that it's not enough to squeeze and it leaks, well, grab 3 fingers, your middle fingers, okay, and squeeze in between where the perineum is, in between testes and the anus. So men, you're about to ejaculate, right? You don't want that. You do not want that. That will be your death and eternal. I'll read you something from the ancient Zoroastrian religion in a minute to show you how damning it is to voluntarily ejaculate. You will never be forgiven. Never. You won't be forgiven. If you're ignorant, now that you've heard this, you will never unhear it. Now you can never, ever go back to ejaculating, because you will be damned. So sorry about the truth I'm sharing. I'm sorry, but it's ultimately it will be your everlasting freedom. Now, push with those 3 fingers, guys, and nothing will go through, because you'll block that tube. So there's your 3 techniques. Simple.
That is wonderful. Thank you for that information. I'm sure we're going to get a lot of emails over that one. Thank you for that, Santos. That's amazing, because I did have a girlfriend years ago that explained that to me, and she said the same thing about guys spreading their seed all around. And she said, what I do is I project my consciousness up to the top of my head and then out the back of me, and then it comes back down again and goes into like a cycle. Have you heard of that, Santos? Is that a similar kind of thing going on there?
Yep, that is the same thing. The reason is this: our body is an alchemical laboratory. Now, when Jesus said you must lift up the Son of Man, he was talking about the manna from heaven, because it's known in esoteric science that the claustrum releases a fluid which actually feeds all the corpuscles, all the cells in the body, and makes them. It is the factory for cells in the body. That's where all of your organs are built up from, the claustrum. So when it descends down into the 3rd ventricle, it gets differentiated by the pineal gland and the pituitary gland, and the pineal gland sends positive fluid down to the thymus, a thyroid, and the pituitary sends a negative feminine down to the thyroid. Then the thyroid further differentiates the pure fluid and makes it less potent. Then the thymus as well, the gonads, the pancreas, the adrenals, all of the endocrine system differentiate the oil, separate it, fractionate it, and then when it hits the sacrum, your sexual activities are responsible for pumping the sacrum is a pump, and it pumps that fluid upward as you practice good habits and not squander those fluids down below. And
okay, we've got to take a quick break.
Censorship and regulation is becoming an ever-growing.
This is Truth Frequency Radio.
The wicked ones obviously under heavy Masonic influence.
And we're back from the break. I'm your host, Nikki Colombo. Welcome to the Nikki Colombo Show on TFRlive.com. We've got the amazing Santos Bonacci, and we were just talking about orgasms and oils and the body. Do you want to pick it up from there, Santos?
Yeah, let's talk about the most divine, sacred force in the universe, sex.
Oh, wonderful.
You've got idiot pastors telling little children that they should never masturbate because that's from the devil. You know, instead of telling them you can masturbate as much as you want, just do not, whatever you do not spill the seed. This is a demon philosophy, and it was introduced onto this plane in order to kill human beings. In the scriptures it says, do not eat from that fruit. The day in which you do, you will positively die. Death comes to humans through wrong sex. Sex is so sacred that you cannot mess with sex. Okay? It's like food. I'll give you an example. You got a petrol car, right? Now, there's many different kinds of fuels at the service station. If you should make a mistake and put diesel in a petrol car, that will cost you the motor. Gone. You just have to get a new motor. Now, humans think they're so smart because they're intellectual and they can choose their diet. Oh, I'm going to be vegan. Vegetarian sounds nice. Keto. Oh, paleo sounds so sophisticated, doesn't it? Well, it's not up to you to choose. You know, when you buy a car, you're not going to buy a diesel car and say, oh, fuck the manual. I'm going to put petrol in mine because I'm intellectual and I can choose. And yet people go and do that with their own bodies. And look at them. I would say 99.999999% of people look absolutely putridly toxic, let alone and they continue till the day they die of bowel disease, piles, heart disease, arthritis, rheumatism, you name it, asthma. They've got it all. And their diet is what's making them die. And yet they don't work it out because they've been told that you need your bum. You've got to have fish bum, chicken bum, cow bum, goat bum, and you've got to have animal products. We can just go around killing them. Yeah, that's fine. And no karma, no retribution. You just go murdering creatures that have been so wonderfully created. Just go around and butcher them and hack them and eat their putrefying corpses. How brilliant is that? And the same with sex. So you can masturbate, you can have sex however you want. Just keep your fluids and you will keep your everlasting life. So, again, they talk about holy matrimony. Holy matrimony doesn't mean to have a government certificate that you now have a trust in your married name and now you are in commerce and a slave of Rome. A marriage certificate doesn't mean anything. You see, marriage means to have an honourable marriage. For instance, when I first met my partner, Violet, all her boyfriends prior to me were ejaculators. So she didn't have any idea what it's like to have sex with a proper continent man. She'd been having sex with your Cullen Smiths, your Danny Wiltons, Christopher Lords, Johann Oldenkamp, all degenerate left-hand path demon worshippers teaching satanic filth so that other idiots can go to hell with them and so they can do sexual favours for demons for the rest of eternity. Whereas I'm teaching them how to get away from that, avoid that, and go into everlasting glory. So what one needs to do, whether they are gay, whether they're straight, doesn't matter. Just don't ejaculate, okay? That's all. And you will be blessed if you listen to those words. If you get creeped out by me and you curse me and hate me for saying this, no skin off my nose. I don't even know who you are. You know who I am, though, and you've heard what I've said, and you'll never forget it. Thank you.
Yeah, you know what, Santos, you have copped some shit over the years, haven't you, sweetie pie? You know, I've been watching your story, and I'm friends with your sister and everything like that, and I don't know if you want to go there, but I'm very interested to hear what it was like when you went through all that that crap that you went through, when you were, I think you went to court about just some fines and stuff like that, but you fought them against the identity and the maritime law, and you're not a corporation and all that. Can you explain, because some of my viewers, they're pretty up to what's going on, but they're more on like the starseed, ET contact kind of genre. So for some of them that don't understand what, or have heard what happened to you, do you want to give us a little quick summary about actually what the shit that went down when you challenged all that?
Yeah, look, I suppose I aggravated the wrong people. I picked the fights. I picked the fight with a sheriff who was causing trouble for members of my family, and unfortunately, he had it out for me. So he was aiming for me. Ultimately, he was going through my friends and families list first, and their supposed debts to the government, and ultimately he was coming for me. So silly me went and made a video on him, and I called him Emiliano Mandarino, the CUNT, and that's how I. Because that's what he is.
I love it. Yeah.
What Giuliano Mandarino.
I swore like a motherfucker, honestly, when David Icke was, banned, because I was going to go and see him backstage live and everything like that. And all my Aussie friends were using that name and just, that word and stuff, because that's the only word that we could express that we were so pissed off that this had happened to us. And I heard that word. I said about 100 times in 1 week. It was just amazing. But that's us Aussies. We swear a lot, guys, so you've just got to get used to it. Don't you, Santos?
Yeah, and
We're very expressive.
I don't mind the word CUNT because it comes from Kunda, Kundalini, the goddess, the feminine goddess of the Vesica Pisces, and we all come from a Kunda.
Oh, that is very interesting. I'll have to do some research on that. That's very, very interesting.
Yeah, the Latin name for the female genitalia is Cunus, C-U-N-N-U-S, Cunus. So that's where Kundalini comes from. And if you don't have the right sex, you will not have the full expression of the Kundalini awakening. You just won't. It comes from sex. Sex is your best friend. Whoever you are listening, sex is your best friend. Learn how to master sex.
And a lot of creative energy is in that process too. I don't think people quite understand that sexual energy can create a lot of things, not just an orgasm. Have you heard about that?
Of course, it creates intelligence. Proper sex creates intelligence. Wrong sex creates stupid morons. Hence, look around at the 99.9%. Do they look silly? If they look silly, act silly, speak silly, and just look like a dumbass, well then they're a dumbass.
And they're the ones that we really can't help at the moment, because you have to do a little bit of work. You have to ask the right questions, ask why you're here, what we're doing here, start asking questions about a lot of things, because it's tough out there when you are trying to wake people up, or not trying to wake people up, but just bring them into the fold of how you some of your your own perceptions of life and stuff like that. It's very hard to wake people up from the the TV and the McDonald's and all the stuff that's being thrown at us. So, to me, what, Santos, it actually seems to me as though it's an anti-life program. And I also think there's a sexual misery program out there too, to hold us in this sexual misery program, because we don't understand exactly how the body works when it comes to orgasms, and what Santos was talking about before about not spreading your seed around, everywhere. So I suggest people go to Santos's, what is your website, Santos?
universaltruthschool.com.
Okay, cool. And I'll put that in the link after the show, guys. And for someone that was just starting, where do you suggest, what do you do in your classes and stuff like that, Santos, for someone that's just starting to or beginning to wake up to what's going on? They come to your universal school and, you know, what's the first thing that they're going to discover there?
Oh, gee, that's a good question. I don't know. I don't know, because if you just sort of click on a video and you don't like it, as most people do, probably 90% that come to my work, and then they go away for a few years and then come back, because they're all going to come back to it, because otherwise they'll never know anything unless they do. Only syncretism will teach them anything. But some people do that. They click and they go, oh, I can't understand this. So I don't know. I don't know what they get, because it depends on what I'm speaking about. I'm sure that if a Christian clicks on my videos, they'll get stumbled. I'm sure that if a lustful person who just wants to continue eating bum for the rest of eternity, they will get stumbled. So it depends what they've got in them. But as you were saying before, people, this crowd is unsalvageable. I know that. I consider people like pets. They're like, you know, dumb pets, like, you know, like just a dumb animal. And so, you know, when they talk to me, I'm like, have you ever seen Benny Hill when he pats that little old man on the head?
Yes, I do. Yes.
That's how I treat all people now. It's like, yeah, no worries. You know, okay, you're a bum eater and you're a ejaculator. Here's a pat on the head. Now off you go. Goodbye. See you later. Don't try and look at me or know who I am ever again. I don't want to see you ever again. And off I am. That's how I try. I try to protect myself from the stupidity of humans, because let me tell you, every day I get disappointed with people because of my hope and expectations that they will somehow get a whiff of intelligence. But it doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen.
You know why? I came to that realization too. When I first started to wake up, I wanted, you know, red pill everybody, and I wanted to save the world and all that kind of. And I realized that, you know, the world is just too big for me to save, and I have to save someone who is, you know, who's willing to do the work, or closer to me, or, you know, expresses some sort of interest in any of this self-realization, you know, information. And, you know, I came to the realization, like, you know, I just kept getting, my intuition kept saying to me, you know, stop wasting your energy, stop wasting your energy. And, you know, just focus on the people who are willing to do the work. And I think that is very similar to what you described when it comes to ejaculating, about stop wasting energy. And I think a lot of people don't understand how much energy they're wasting, really. When you think about that, we're all sound and light and you know, and sound fields and energy. And I think people's energy being funneled, you know, through certain agendas, through certain mind control programs, and they're falling for it. But some people are waking up to that kind of programming. But now we're learning how to work our energies and not waste our energy. And if you're out there, guys, and you're listening and you think, you know, okay, I want to try, you know, save the world or wake everybody up and all that kind of stuff, the time has passed now. You know, the line has been drawn in the sand now, where, you know, you just can't waste energy on that program anymore. And some people might be upset to hear that, but that's just something that is, because it's got to be frequency specific. You know, it's like James Gilliland talks about this all the time, Santos. He says about, you know, when these frequencies come in, it's just because you're an awakened soul, your natural frequency will plug into these wonderful energies that are coming in to make yourself more, you know, awakened and more conscious. And other people who, you know, the 3D regular fries and Coke people just won't have that frequency to plug into these energies. And so you have to be frequency specific to certain energies. Do you agree with that, Santos?
Oh, of course. It's all about frequency. It's all about if your soul resonates and you've done all the good work in your past lives, it resonates with the new conscious savior that is sweeping through the cosmos, and you're going to be drawn along with that savior, the return of the Christ, consciousness that is, that it will pick you up. It will sweep you up in its wake, and it will bring you to that glorious place with it, and it will leave behind all the unsalvageable parts. So when you were talking before about, you used to go out and red pill everybody and try to save everybody, and then you stopped. I do that too, because in my experience, I've put myself in the situation where I speak to try and help people where I shouldn't have, thinking, oh, this person might be worth salvageable. They look intelligent. And so I start speaking, and then within 5 minutes, I see them go sour and their old eyes are rolling in their head. And I realise, how was it that I thought this person was how was it that I thought this person had a shred of intelligence? And then I realised real quick that I'm talking to someone who is absolutely no smarter than a piece of dog shit on the sidewalk. And I'm thinking, how am I going to get the hell out of here? So, to me, God save me! Why am I here? Relocate me instantly out from this person's death trap. So,
because those frequencies can bring you down if they're in that negative frame of mind, or they just don't get it, they don't understand it. So I don't want to be around people like that. I kind of run too, because you know what I mean. I'm just like, I just can't be around people who aren't kind of like me, because I just don't relate to them anymore. You know what I mean? So I kind of have isolated myself to only close-knit certain friends. And I just don't worry about other people who are not willing to kind of wake up and do the work now, because for me, they drag on my energy, because there's a conflict there, it's discord. It doesn't feel good, So you're sitting there and you're doing playing teacher, and it's like, get me the fuck out of here. Is that what you're feeling? Oh, God.
Yeah, and I realised that the creature that I'm trying to save is actually a snake with a pretty face in disguise. And, when you save a snake, it's going to repay you one day by bite you, isn't it? So I'm thinking to myself, right, I'm on duty and I'm a truther. This person looks like, there's a glimmer in his eyes and it looks like there might be a shred of intelligence, and I'm going to throw myself in, and then whoops, lo and behold, the same old thing happens over and over again. It was a snake dressed up in a human skin, but it has not got the human properties. It's just not responding. It is dead. Let the dead bury the dead.
So there's no divine spark in there.
There's nothing. There's no one home.
There's nothing in there.
They're in a human skin suit, but there's nothing there, mate. Just do not waste your time. Waste your time on yourself. Whoever it is listening, please. And I know that 3 or 4 people that are listening to this are going to actually love hearing what I'm saying, and they're going to go away and they're going to stop ejaculating and eating bum and all of these demonic practices, and they're going to save themselves, and save their intelligence. So I'm doing it for them, not for the 99.9% that are sitting there laughing, going, Santos is a weirdo, he's got no idea. No worries. I don't even know who they are anyway, so it doesn't matter.
It seems like you let that go a long time ago about what other people think, and that's one of the big things that we all do here, is that we realise that, it's not about, I'm not going to be ruled by other people's perceptions of me. These are my experiences, and that's how that's it. And I'm not going to be judged. And if I am judged, well, I don't care. I let go of that a long time ago, Santos. It was so freeing, it was so freeing to not be ruled by what other people think, because we live in such a superficial bullshit world. And to come back to that rawness now, it makes me feel more solid in my solar plexus and more core orientated, and going into my cells and communicating with my cells. Which gives me, prompts and intuition and, guidance into making the next step on a decision that I might be making. That's how I feel at the moment, and I think a lot of people are going through that at the moment. We're kind of aware of what's going on with the projecting on the outside, and it seems to be turning, going back into us to discover, who we are. And a lot of people do say that. They say it's all in you, it's all in you. And I get people saying, but where is it? Where is it? I said, we've got to start with little steps. You've got to start with little steps. You got to have a belief in yourself that there is coding in that DNA that's been lying dormant for God knows how long. And it seems as though this coding seems to be popping open and waking people up in a great big wave. And then because this energy comes in, the wave of the energy comes in and it helps us, just guides us through. And that's the experiences that the people that I know that are having. Whereas compared to other people who, are still going to work, doing the round and round and round and round and round again, it's just maddening. And they don't understand why, and they don't ask questions and stuff. And I find those people absolutely foreign. I find I feel like an alien on my own planet. What about you, Santos? Do you feel like that?
Oh, yeah, we're misfits. We've been made to be misfits, and that's why it's easy for them to pick us out and target us and throw us in psych wards and jails and disturb our activities and discredit us and make us look like loonies. And they're all in the hive mind, and because they're all comforted by each other's ignoramus stupidity and they all go around congratulating each other for how stupid and ignorant they are, they feel comfortable there. They don't want to be threatened by truth and new information and, Santos is saying scary things. I don't want to hear. I don't like this man. He talks different. He's not what I wasn't educated that way. I didn't learn. Where did he get this stuff from? He's a weirdo, So that's how we have been made to be misfits. And unfortunately, in the scripture it says, "The day will come when I will vindicate all the righteous ones and the blood of my witnesses who have been murdered and beheaded by these demons and the order followers, policemen, politicians, and all of these useful idiots and useless eaters and pooers in this world who will follow the directives of their bosses and they will inform on us as they did in the days of the Inquisition, neighbour informing on neighbour. And now you've got Neighbourhood Watch and you've got all these, pussy-faced, death-bound, diseased morons who are, your next door neighbour, and they will call the police if they see some strange green plant you've got in your backyard, and you'll go, you eating and pooing and filling sewer systems and, supplying commerce to the commercial world until the day comes when they're all destroyed in the flood of Noah and obliterated forever. Can't wait. Bring it on.
Yeah, I hear a lot of people say that. I'm sick of this place. I want to go home, and bring it on. We're pretty tired right now with all of this stuff. So, a lot of people are exactly in that same position. Where you get called weird and you get called strange or crazy and stuff like that. But the thing is that 10 years ago, the stuff that I was saying is all unfolding right now. So. I get people coming back to me saying, look, I didn't quite get it years ago, but now I get it. And now I have a totally different perspective on what you were trying to, express to me. Have you had any incidences like that, Santos, where people come back and go and have had a complete flip around of what you were trying to tell them years ago?
Oh, yeah. I've got people coming to me now who, who hated me for telling them, that the Jesus that they're waiting for will never return because it's not a literal Jesus, it's a literary Jesus. Same with the true geocentric cosmology of the universe. They hated me when I started teaching that, and now they've worked it out, and finally they've come around. They've realised that the vegetarian way is the way, and it doesn't matter how unhealthy you get with that diet, because a lot of people do suffer because the vegetarian food has deliberately been demineralized so that vegetarians look like they're not as healthy as the meat eaters, because the meat eaters have been given all the hormones and vaccinations and all of that other adrenaline stuff from when they murder them, that they think they're getting good energy. And so someone like me, even at the face of eternal death, will never put a particle of murdered animal in their body. And so it doesn't matter. It's not a question of health whether we're going to go back to bum eating or not. It's a question of, if you're a bloodlust glutton, or if you're a real truth seeker, then you will do the right thing. But I find that it's so amusing to see so many of these vegans who've been vegan for 20 years or whatever go back to bum eating, and I think, well, there you go. You know, I mean, everyone's full of shit, and I'm the only one that is not, you know, in my world. And so I stick to me. I isolate myself and enjoy my blissful life and happiness and enjoyment, and just let people do whatever they want, because they're going to do it anyway. And when I find that I go out and try and save these people, I think after that I feel so dirty and defiled by their ugliness and stupidity that I think that wasn't worth it. I could have been in the park having a picnic, and I wasted a half an hour with that idiot. What for, dude? Don't worry about your duty and your responsibility to others and everything. Be responsible for yourself first.
Be responsible for yourself first. Okay, we're getting lots of giggles in the chat line with Santos talking about bum eating, and we'll be back on the other side with the amazing Santos Bonacci, so stick around.
Real people, real radio. Wherever you are, make it TFR. Truth Frequency Radio.
Your host, Nikki Colombo. Welcome to the Nikki Colombo Show. We're talking with the wonderful Santos Bonacci. And a shout out to the guys in the chat room, Lynn, Luma Kanali, Freeman A, Responsible, Black Tree, and Louista. Thanks, guys. You guys are so funny in the chat room. And also a shout out to your sister, Sonia Bonacci, who helped me get in touch with you, Santos, because I know that you missed my email, and I thought, I bet you there's some sort of interference there. So a shout out there to Sonia. Thank you, sweetheart. That's wonderful of you. Now, so what's happening in the future, Santos? What's coming up? Have you got some events to do, or any books being launched, or what's happening in your world in the future?
Well, I'm just lingering on this plane. Well, I shouldn't put it that way, but the only thing that I wish to do here, there's only one thing that I wish to do here, and that is to make good syncretism products, documentaries. I could, if I had some help, I would make some really, really good vids that really make syncretism concise and give to people the fine gift of a good video graphic presentations which will teach them syncretism, astrology, the ecliptic, all of this science, all in great products. I want to make the world's best astrological website, and I also want to have an academy where people can come, maybe in Australia or maybe in Europe, where people can come and do a 2-week course, and I will just teach them everything syncretism. I'll have my whiteboard, I'll have graphics, I'll have all the aids and things. And those are the 3 things that's all I want to do. And Violet, my partner, is on board with me. She and I, when we get together, that is, she can't come to Australia for another 2 years. So I'm planning to go overseas in October to be with her, either in America or Europe, or I don't know where. I don't have anything crystal yet, but I want to be with her because she's the best syncretist alive that I know, and we love each other, and we want to make great syncretism products for the world, as we have been doing on my YouTube channel, Mr. Astrotheology. And we just want to keep doing that. That's all I want to do. I don't want to go and have parties and climb mountains and sail and fly. I don't want to do any of that. I'm sick of cuisine. I'm sick of eating. I don't want to eat and poo anymore. I don't want to converse with people and chit chat at restaurants and cafes, and that stuff is just so
boring. Because they're not awake, they're not on your level, and I'm like that too. I get invites all the time, and I turn them down because I say, "What is the point? I'm not going to be talking to these people. They don't understand anything that I've gone through, what I'm doing. They don't understand the subjects. They're not awake at all." And I just think, what's the point? I'm only intellectually stimulated by my friends and family who are awake and are intellectually stimulating to my brain, which helps me grow as a human being and makes me a better, host for the job that I'm doing here. I feel that that's my mission here is to bring this knowledge, considering all the banning that's going on. I'm shadow banned on Facebook and everything too. So, for me, it's an outlet to get this information out from all these wonderful speakers that I have here. So I'm actually quite blessed in the position that I am right now, but it did take a little while. But I was just thinking about when someone actually first comes and you talk about the holy science and stuff like that. I mean, that is like volumes and volumes and volumes of information. And when someone first start out. If I get some emails today about, how would they start, to get to your information, what do you recommend the first video that they should look at on your YouTube channel to start them off?
Well, look, if the student is ready, it doesn't matter what they click on, Nikki. If they have the good heart and the good mind and it resonates, even though they don't understand it, like my mother, she says, "Oh, look, I can't watch 20 minutes of your videos. They're just too deep and my mind goes crazy." And I say, "That's no problem, Mum. Just click on the Italian ones that I've done," even though she speaks English perfectly well, and give them a go. Just spend 20 minutes every day. And even if you don't understand anything, just put it on. It's your son.
Yeah, exactly.
It's your son, and she doesn't, of course. She's probably only watched about 40 minutes of anything I've ever done. Yeah. And that doesn't matter. That's fine because, again, my mother, my beautiful mother that I love so much, again, she's like a pet. She's like a pet. She's taking a medication. She's had a heart attack. She's 74. She's got diabetes, arthritis, rheumatism, everything from eating bum and starch all her life, even though now she's vegetarian and reversing all that. But even my mother, my beautiful spiritual goddess mother that I love so much, I see her as a pet, because I can tell she's not going to do it in this life. She's not. Yeah. And we're talking, see, as I speak, I'm aware that I'm alienating the bum eaters that are never going to stop eating bum. But they're compelled to come and listen to me. I don't know why. But, like Cullen Smith and Danny Wilton and Christopher Lord and Johan Oldenkamp, these are all ejaculators and bum eaters. And they are my best.
Santos, you need a T-shirt with that, darling.
I will.
Get a T-shirt or a bumper sticker.
I will make sure that these four will go down as the biggest demon idiots that ever lived. I will be using their names forever. They'll never escape the harm that they've tried to do to me in syncretism and the truth. They will never escape it. And when they're in hell doing favours for demons for the rest of eternity, the demons will remind them of Santos Bonacci. Remember telling you that you shouldn't be ejaculating? Now that you've got my 4x4 phallic up your backside, you better remember that guy, eh? Remember that guy you used to hate? So I realise that there's two classes of people. There's the dumb bums who eat bum, and then there's the intelligent ones, and there's thousands of them, and they write to me and tell me how they've benefited from non-ejaculatory lifestyle, veganism, and the true path, and they will never return to the vomit like I see all these losers daily doing. Oh, they they've been vegan for 10 years, and they come out and go, oh, I was getting sick and I've got mould and I've got a pimple, and so I had to go back to bum, because of course bum's got nutrition in it. Of course it has. And so I get amused by them, and I think, well, I'm glad you heard my presentations, because my voice will be there to condemn you forever when you go into your hellish regions, because if you get hit by a bus and you've been eating bum and you've got animal blood mixed with human blood, where do you think you're going to go? Well, your frequency is set at bum eating. So you're going to go to a place where everyone eats bums, because they are what they eat. They are bums. So the one who has purified their temple, who has fasted, and who has eliminated all those traumatized corpses. I don't know how many chickens I ate and how many sausages I had being Italian. But I got rid of that in my 62-day liquid fast, and I just got rid of all of that trauma out of my system. And
exactly the same thing too 2 days ago. I've got to go on a fast. It's the only way that reboots my metabolism and cleans me all out. Love it. I think people should do it more often.
There's only one way to heal, and it's not with medications or herbs or anything. It's fasting. You have to fast. You've got to do a 40-day fast, and that's the only way to heal anything and everything. There's only one way. In ancient times, the Egyptians, when a sick person would get to them, they did two things. They put them on a fast diet to die, and to eat, which eat is hiding in the word death. They gave them an enema, and they put them on a fast. That's it. That's how you heal people. You take the shit out the back end, and you stop putting the shit out the top end. So, your torso has an opening at the top and an opening at the bottom. It's called the GI tract. So you stop all activity from the gluttonous mouth, and you have enemas, and you dump all of that toxic build-up of mucoid plaque, parasites, fungus, candida, and all kinds of demons.
Parasites.
Yeah, just get rid of them and clean your body. So easy to do.
Santos, you speak a few languages, don't you? You mentioned the languages that you speak, and and I know French and Spanish and Italian are all similar, but did that help you, because you've got a broad spectrum of so many different languages? Did that help you understand the root of the words? I forget what the word is, what the name of that is actually called when you actually go back to the root of the word. Did that help you with your broad spectrum of different dialects that you're aware of?
Oh, it was the greatest help. Only a linguist can do syncretism. Only one who speaks either two languages or knows a bit of another language or multiple languages will do syncretism thoroughly and completely. Only. So it's all about language. The universe is made with numbers and languages. Now, you can't hear numbers. Can you hear one or two things? No. You can only see numbers. Letters and words are audible, so you can hear those. So you see, numbers are connected with time and letters are connected with space. Okay? So
right.
As the ancients said, the whole universe is created with only numbers and letters. So when you understand what language really is and where it originates from the atom, all language is atomic. Forget about Sanskrit and Hebrew being the oldest language. Anyone tells you this is the oldest language or that, just walk away. You got no idea. Clueless. All languages originate from what I call atomology, in which we call etymology. Etymology is another way of saying atomology, because as the Egyptians said, all is atum. All. Nothing is not atum. And atum is the sound of electricity breaking away from magnetism to create a wave form. It goes adum, adum, either a T or a D, adum. And then the M is the liquid which flatlines the T percussive sound and stitches atoms molecularly together through that. So this is how ignorant people are, that etymology is the only language that exists, and everything else is a dialect of that. Even Sanskrit and Greek and all of these languages that people boast that they claim that, oh, we've got the original, all languages come from this, that, or the other. That's when you're clueless. When you're clueless, you say dumb shit like that.
And Atum, now wasn't that, was Atum an Egyptian god?
It's everyone's god. In India, they call it Atma, same words. In the Latin Catholic Church, they call it Dominus, the Lord. Well, Dom is Adam, atom, Aten, Atin. All of those words, if you understand that T and D are interchangeable and M and N are interchangeable, and you can have any vowel in between, backwards, forwards, scrambled, in any which way, as long as if there is a T or a D in the word and an M or an N, that is Adam, atom, atum. It's all the same thing. Every religion in the world only has one God, and he is Atum. Whether they think that or know that or not, it doesn't matter. That's how it is.
Okay, that's really interesting. So Atum. So if you look at, instead of it looking at it as a god, because I feel that we are God. So and God is inside us. But so people are projecting that Atum is an Egyptian god, when in actual fact it actually is describing the atom. Is that what you're trying? Have I got that right?
More or less, it's describing how the primal, most high God, which is the monad, becomes and that's who we are. Like, you're right, we are. This is who we are. Learn this expression. This is the ultimate truth you will ever learn. These 5 words. Please learn this. We are inconceivably God with difference. So you are God, but you are also different to God. It's a dichotomy that you probably will not understand while you are in the flesh, okay? Because of your conditioned mind. It's been conditioned. And when we die, we'll go back to our unconditioned state, and we will understand, oh, I was God all along, but I was different to God. I was an individual. And that individuality will be yours forever. It's called saving your soul. People who lose their soul lose their individuality. All of their spiritual atoms, which make their body, will be diffused and spread out and reassembled into another body in the future. The atoms will not go to waste. The energy cannot just be destroyed, but their soul will be. They will lose their soul. Whereas we are adding to our soul. We are saving our soul because we are keeping the integrity of our individuality, which then honours the Creator who we are in our unconditioned godlike state. So the Creator, prime Creator, cannot do anything unless he or she expands. It needs to become a dyad. It needs to have a positive and negative force so that time and space can enable a third principle, which is form and function in the Holy Trinity. So God, if you want to know what the Trinity, the ultimate Trinity of God is, it's time, space, and form. And so when you understand that the monad does nothing, only the dyad, God cannot create. God uses an agency to create. The monad must have an agency, like it says in Proverbs chapter 8. And the Lord and God used me, wisdom, as his chief architect of the universe. Right? Well,
love that.
Exactly. So the dyad, the dyad God is the God who we call the demiurge. Demi means hemi, means semi, means half. The half.
Yes. Because I used to do ballet, and they used to say do demi Pleiade, and I'm like, demi, that is half. That means half, which means it's not holy. And
Yeah,
also, demi also means it sounds like it's got demon, as in Democrats.
it is because Adam has the word mad. Adam backwards is mad. Or if you take the A away from Adam, you take the A privative away, you're left with damn. We are the damned race. It's all in there. Just look at the words and they will talk to you. They will talk to you. Look at the word divine. Well, that's the root of divided. So the demiurge is divine because he is divided. He is a dyad. He's not the monad. The monad, with the monad, there is no activity. There is no creation. He is just the creator. It's like a carpenter. He says, I built the house. But he didn't build the bricks. He didn't make the wood.
I get it.
He's a builder. And so the dyad, the second God, the expanded form of God from the monad, that is the creator. That's the builder, the carpenter, the mason. He makes the world with atoms. That is Atum. Because the first God, he doesn't have a name. It's nameless. The Ein Sof does not have a name. In India, they call it Anama, which means no name. But they also have 330 million gods that have names.
Oh, yeah.
Krishna, Shiva. Because
Surrender,
why?
yeah.
Because that's God in his expanded form. For instance, milk. Milk starts off and gives its blood to all products. Cheese, yogurt, cream, curds, whey, biscuits. Milk is in all of those, but it's not milk anymore. But they come from milk. They all have milk in them. So milk, the original monad, has to differentiate, has to expand or emanate from its oneness, from its mono essence, to make two essences. Because then two, alkaline and acidity, have now activity. They have activity, and with activity you can build houses and make babies and build cosmoses. But you can't do that from your oneness. The number one cannot do anything. It needs the number two by its side. Zeros and ones in the binary code of computers, for instance. You can't have a computer with just ones and say, oh, look, we don't like zeros in our computer matrix. We're just going to get rid of the zeros and we're just going to have ones. Well, it's not going to work. So
yeah, so the monad is monad the oversoul? Is that an aspect? So that's an aspect of God, and the monad is like the oversoul of all of us. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, write down the word monad and scramble it around, and you'll get Adam again. It all goes back.
Okay.
Monad Adam.
Oh God, why didn't I see that before?
And see, atom is a unit, but Eve, his partner, is even. So you've got odd Adam numbers and all feminine numbers, 2, 4, 6, 8, because they divide and double, are Eve's children, the children of Eve. They are all the even numbers. All the odd numbers, the Adam numbers, they are all 1, 3, 5, because you can't divide those. That's why. That's why Atom needed Eve to make a baby, because Atom, the monad, the one, can't do shit by himself.
It makes sense when you do it. When you put it into context like that. I mean,
right.
It's also like I also found out that the numbers like the 666 is like 6 atoms, 6 electrons, and 6 protons.
Carbon, the mark of the beast, exactly.
Carbon. And I've also heard that we're actually coming out of being carbon and coming more into crystal silicon. Our bodies are leaving this carbon reality, which is not, we can't manifest in this carbon reality anymore. We manifest in this new silicon crystalline, higher vibratory, it can hold more higher vibratory sound and energy, because we're coming out of this old carbon, and when I'm talking about this, guys, I'm talking in the context of people who have woken up, who are are interested, who are onto it, not the people that, like I said, the 3D, the 3D people. So we're coming into that. That's what it feels like to me. Have you heard that, Santos?
Yeah, of course. Some are saying that we're going to carbon 7. When you think of it, carbon is all about 12. The only isotope that we know when we talk of carbon is carbon 12. It always goes back to the dodecahedron, the master polyhedra of the universe, and the number 12.
And so you guys out there really have to understand what your platonic solids are, really. So we've got about 3 minutes until the end of the show. I just want to thank Santos for coming on, sweetheart. Give us your website again.
universaltruthschool.com.
Is that the only one that you've got?
Yep. And my YouTube channel is Mr. Astrotheology.
Okay, that's great, guys. And okay, we've got about 2 minutes left. Santos, thank you for coming on, sweetheart. It's wonderful to talk to an Aussie. Us Aussies seem to be really, pioneering out there in this movement right now. I used to think that it was all Americans and that, but it's not. A lot of the Aussies seem to be, pushing out there, and it's wonderful to see that Australia really does have a lot of might when it comes to this movement. And just quickly, just before you go, your thoughts on poor Julian Assange. What did you think of that?
Well, again, whether there's some theatre in there or not, I don't judge. I'm watching it.
I felt that.
Yep, I'm the witness of it. But nonetheless, what you see, how they are spinning it to the rest of the world, is that if you should dare leak anything that the government is doing, hiding, and doing secretly, you're going to be punished. And this is the example. That's ultimately what they want from Julian Assange. Whether he did that sincerely and everything's real and sincere and pure or not, I care not. What I care about is how they're going to spin it, and to the dumb masses, so that they can have their support, so that the Inquisition can continue forever and ever, and the persecution of the good people and the righteous-hearted ones.
That is beautifully put. It is like an inquisition, isn't it? I'm sure I was burnt as a witch years ago, which probably stopped me from doing my spiritual work until much later in life. So, poor Julian Assange, I tell you, being carted out like that down on where he's sort of laying down and yelling out, resist, resist, resist. And I think, oh, my God, you poor bastard. But anyway, at least, things are moving along with him. He might have a little bit more care when he's in jail. But anyway, look, I'm not frightened, and I don't think anybody on this station is really frightened about that stuff. So we're not going to fall for it, and we're just going to keep plowing through, because that's the truth, and that's the truth is the energy behind us that keeps us moving forward. So I just want to thank Santos for coming on, sweetheart. Say hello to your sister for me. It was awesome to give your time and energy to us tonight, and I really do hope a lot of people get a lot of information out there and get onto your website and have a look at all the beautiful stuff there. So thank you, and good night, everyone. See you next week.